Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. This is Lunar Goddess Tarot, formerly Divine Truth Tarot. I'll be honest, the energies today are quite melancholy and sad and heavy. It's almost like a blanket of sadness is how it was described to me, and sort of covering the divine feminine at this time. There's also a lot of throat chakra upgrades. I've noticed significant jaw pain, especially pain or ailments on the left side, which is part of your divine, that's your feminine side, your feminine energy. So I wanted to go ahead and jump on here and do a reading. I do have company coming over, so I may have to hop off unexpectedly. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but they'll probably be here in about 20 minutes or so. So if I do, I just please excuse that in advance. For those of you inquiring about personal readings, I'm all booked up at the moment for May. If I do get through the May readings and I do have time and energy, then I will let you know, and I will open up a few spots towards like the second half of May here, or even the third or fourth week. But I want to really jump right in, guys. I want to jump in, and I want to thank you all for your emails, reaching out to me and checking on me over the past few days here. It has been very challenging indeed. I'm going through an intense period where my counterpart and I are both in chasing energy, and there's just a lot of finality and sadness still in the air and in my connection. And look what just popped out. New beginnings. So this is our blind spot. This is what we're unable to see, is that the new beginnings are going to, new beginnings are precipitated by what looks like very painful, tragic, sometimes tumultuous, chaotic endings. So that's a good sign to see. But if you're in my energy, if you're feeling what I'm feeling, you're also going to be experiencing sacral chakra, solar plexus, root chakra energy and pain. So a lot of stomach cramping since yesterday, just out of nowhere. You're going to have to be very mindful of the foods that you're consuming, fresh juices, fruits, and salads. Like I just ate a gluten-free vegan bagel and it's awful. Just like sitting in my stomach. So I would recommend no processed foods, not even low carb, just low processed carb diet, and just really being mindful. Incorporate some ginger in there. You'll be noticing some sinus pressure or pain at this time too. And there's just a lot of energy just a lot of heavy energy still as we approach this month of May here, as we really step into May and let it take foot. So believe it or not, this energy is helping us take steps towards the new beginning. But I'll tell you what, it doesn't feel like that. And it most definitely doesn't feel like the new beginning is around the corner. So I know for me, it almost feels like stagnancy. Like my ego wants to tell me that it's over. That's where I'm at. That's the energy that I'm in right now, the distorted energy, and that it's time to move on. Like as if, like the energy of, well, I may or may not end up with my counterpart, so I need to move on with my life entirely. And I've been in that energy before, but this feels different. So there's been some tears, there's been some crying, there's been some releasing, some purging. And a lot of this is the feminine receiving the upgrades that we're receiving. So we're receiving a lot of our gifts. More gifts are coming online, more gifts than ever before. And the masculine, a lot of them are in tower moments. They're experiencing towers. So let's get some energy here for the feminine to give her a boost. The feminine energy, please. What is the feminine energy most needs to know at this time, Spirit? What does the feminine energy most need to know? Some animals to be mindful of right now are snakes and deer. I'm also seeing bunny rabbits for some. Snakes, deer, bunny rabbits. And then some of the signs you might be seeing right now would be, I actually saw Emperor the other day. That was interesting. So I also saw TF on a license plate today, and then DF on a license plate a few minutes later. So those are some signs that you may be on the lookout for at this time. So divine feminine, friends and colleagues going through a transformation. I actually see this as, the Tower card or even the Death card. It's that kind of scorpionic energy that has been coming up over and over and over, just in pretty much every single reading that I've done, personal and collective readings, the past 2 or 3 weeks. Scorpio energy is very strong. It lingers. Okay. Scorpio doesn't give up. We hold on. Scorpio is like the most incredible lover because we will stay with you to the end. We have that tenacity. We have that staying power. So there's a staying power here with this transformational energy of Scorpio that came through with the Scorpio full moon about a week and a half ago. And then of course the upcoming eclipse that we have is also going to eclipse out or precipitate some endings significantly. And if we're not taking action steps towards those endings ourselves, what the eclipse will do is the eclipse energy is so powerful and strong, like a tsunami. It will literally come in and wipe everything out that doesn't serve you. So it can either be painful and you can resist it, or you can just allow it and step into it and even start making those changes now before the eclipse hits. So it's like I've said before, it really matters where the eclipse hits in your chart, what house it hits. And that can tell you, okay, is it in my house of health and wellness? Is it in my house of relationships? Is it in my house of family and friends? Is it in my house of identity, the first house, communication? So there's lots of different scenarios depending on where this eclipse hits for you. If you are a Sagittarius, it's going to hit you. This eclipse is going to be really powerful and will likely hit you. Like if you're, let's say, okay, if your rising is in Sagittarius, it's going to hit you in your first house of identity. So think about that for a moment. It's going to be huge. Okay, rising Sagittarius, this eclipse is going to hit you. You want to prepare. Prepare now, guys, folks, prepare now. So the feminine's in sort of this fragmented energy of like, am I coming or going? Again, it's the energies of what is this journey? What is going on? And a lot of us are blind to this. We're blind to the new beginnings and taking steps. It doesn't feel like we're taking steps towards a new beginning. It feels like we're taking steps towards a new beginning without our counterpart. And so I think the feminine's having to rely on friends and colleagues and the healing light that's surrounding her or him at this time. So divine feminine, you are sort of forcing yourself to be more social these days, forcing yourself into this energy of being around other people where you were hermiting for quite some time, which is really what the masculine energy is doing right now. But you're definitely being asked to open yourself up to new scenarios, new environments, new friends, new possible romantic partners, soulmates that will help you grow. So the twin flame comes in, shakes everything up. There's all this transformational, chaotic energy, pulls things out of us that triggers us, to change. And then we go through the healing, and then a soulmate comes in to help us grow. So we're going to go through some soulmates. And again, this doesn't have to be romantic. And you don't have to believe this. If this isn't part of your story, no big deal. Just simply take what resonates and leave what doesn't. On the bottom of the deck here, we have the true love card. So that's fascinating that I usually never, when I set a deck down, I set it down like this. I don't set it down with the card or cards facing up. So the fact that I did that tells me that this is a card that wants to be looked at for the feminine. So you're discovering that your true love is yourself. And this can be a painful process because the ego wants to continuously look outside of yourself for that comfort, for that security, for that affirmation and validation. But you're realizing that the only true person who is ever going to be there for you all the time, 100% of the time, is you, if you allow yourself to be there for yourself. And so when we look outside for our counterpart and we need our counterpart to soothe us or comfort us or be there, chances are they're not going to be there at the time that we need them to be. Or if they are, they're not going to be able to give to us in the capacity that we need them to give to us. I think oftentimes the divine masculine energy, when they're in that running phase, and maybe even in their chasing phase, because it looks different than when the feminine chases, the masculine sort of feels like this is an impossible connection. Everything's impossible. There's too many hurdles. There's too many fences to climb. There's too many, ropes to climb. There's too many mountains to climb. There's just too much in the way. And it's really their ego and your ego getting in the way, because your souls gravitate towards one another like flames, like the eternal flame. It is your human selves that are getting in the fucking way. And it's just so frustrating, right, feminine? Because you know where this is and how this could be, and you know the potential, and your masculine doesn't see it right off the bat. The masculine energy doesn't see the potential. And if they do, they also see the downfalls, the pitfalls, the obstacle. Masculine energy goes back into logic. And there's no way this could work. X, Y doesn't equal Z, so it's not going to work. I'm going to move on to something, a project, or some of them, have gone into other relationships. I think a lot of them are moving away from that now, but in the past, anything to distract themselves from this impossible love, because I really think that's how the masculine energy in all of us feels. It's like, well, how do we overcome this? How do we get to a place where we can communicate properly, effectively, honestly, and openly with each other? Because there seems to be a lot of secrecy in the twin flame connections, where oftentimes the feminine doesn't feel like the masculine's being honest or transparent. And oftentimes the feminine doesn't realize that she's actually the one running, or he's the one running, and that you're actually keeping secrets, that you're guarding your heart. And so I think it's very confusing for both counterparts. But for the masculine energy, they're used to, in the past, when a relationship's done, it's done. And so a lot of them put that sort of, it's final, this is done. And a lot of feminines have received that message from the masculine. It's over, it's done, I don't think this can work, I love you, I think about you, I wish you the best. But I hope you move on and find what you're looking for. And you're like, well, but it's you. But what I'm looking for is right in front of me. And it's frustrating to know that they can't see that they can't see past their own follies, or their own, what they perceive to be, I think a lot of the masculines create these self-fulfilling prophecies where it just pushes the feminine so far away that the feminine has no choice but to seek out, friends and colleagues, or more healing, or a soulmate, if that is the case, if that is to be in your journey for more growth, because the masculine just isn't showing up in the way that the feminine needs. Because feminines, you have transformed so much, and the masculines are just now going through their tower moments and their dark nights, whereas the feminine's gone through several of these. So the masculine has some wake-up calls that are going to come along here on their journey, and it's going to be ugly. It's not going to be pretty. It is going to be pretty in the long run, but in the short run, it's going to feel very challenging for the masculine energy. Very challenging indeed. And the masculines deal with it differently. The feminines want to reach out to their friends, and they want to tell their story. They need to hear themselves talk. They need to be heard and seen. And the masculines, honestly, they choose to do the opposite. They just want to curl up into themselves and crawl into a hole until it's over. They don't want to talk to anyone. They don't want to see anyone. They ignore people. They ignore you. So the masculines deal with this differently. And look, the masculines got regeneration and the feminines got transformation. So this is quite cool. You guys are both going through an intense period of transformation and reinvention of yourselves. So, think about it. Could you do this together? Yes. I have had people email me recently telling me, we're doing this together, we're in union, and it's so hard. It's so difficult. It's so challenging. We live together and we're going through exactly what you're saying we're going through, and it's very challenging because you can still go through periods where you don't speak. But imagine being under the same roof and going through that. So in a lot of ways, it's a blessing, for those of you who are not under the same roof, who are not in that dedicated or committed connection. Think about, what you'd be having to endure at this time and what that might look like. Okay, so masculine energy, what are they going through at this time besides this regeneration, which is another theme? This is the theme coming up, the Scorpio theme of we are changing, we are shedding, we are releasing, we are purging, we are going deep. Whether we like it or not, we are being asked to or forced to go very deep within ourselves to figure out what is my truth, why am I here, and what is it that I need to leave behind in order to make room for this next chapter. Because you can't take some stuff with you. Some stuff just cannot be taken. It has to go. It's too heavy. And you've been carrying it for way too long. Something else that's coming up for the feminine right now are body issues. And so this can be in the form of not eating enough, eating too much, counting calories, counting fat, counting carbs, taking a diet too far, sort of like punishing yourself with food. Okay, so that's coming up for a lot of feminines, myself included. And this is done subconsciously. You're not consciously trying to starve yourself or trying to not eat, but this is part of the way that the feminine is kind of dealing with the energies and the longing and the intensity. The masculines are healing inner child issues. So those masculines who are brave enough and courageous enough to face themselves are definitely doing some therapy, some counseling. I've been picking up on this. And so they're going through this process where they're healing this unworthiness, where the feminines tend to have the major wound for the feminines that I see tends to be abandonment. The major wound for the masculines tends to be unworthiness. Now, of course, both twins can have both wounds, but those are the core wounds that I see for the masculine and feminine energies, both within us and without. So your inner masculine is also regenerating. Your inner masculine is also healing, inner child healing. And on the bottom of the deck, once again, look what I did. I flipped it right side up. And what we have is never-ending story. So this does talk about the fact that this is a never-ending connection, that this is not going anywhere. So the masculines are starting to realize that. But this also is talking about those endless cycles in your connection. And so the masculines are working on healing those cycles. So they're not responding the same way. Sometimes this looks like them not responding at all. And you're like, okay. They're trying to break the cycles. They're trying to emerge as a different masculine, a more empowered masculine, a masculine that's not impulsive, a masculine that doesn't play with your emotions even unintentionally or lead you along or string you along. So the masculines that aren't ready to be committed, a lot of them are quiet and silent at this time as they work on themselves. They don't want to hurt the feminine any more than they already have. And they are fully aware of the pain that they've caused. And they're not willing to inflict any more pain on you or anyone else. And so they're staying away. This is just the energy that is sort of prevalent right now for a lot of the masculine collective. And so again, if you're living with your masculine, if you're in a relationship, you could be experiencing the same energy. So we have go the distance. And that was the chair, by the way. Swear words. So go the distance. Yeah, the masculines are realizing there's work to be done, and that this, if you ever told your masculine, I want you to fight for me. I want you, because I want you to fight for me. I want you to show me that you care. I want you to, choose me. The masculines are starting to realize that this takes effort. This connection takes more effort than a normal connection. Oh my gosh, there's a kitten outside, guys. Okay. I'm going to pull just a few more cards here. I keep on hearing this kitten and I just hear him again. I'm going to have to end this, but I have to go figure out because it's a long story, but okay. Milk and honey. Okay, so I asked for some energy for the union energy. Milk and honey. This is delicious. This is the sweet nectar. This is the rainbow. There's a baby elephant playing here in the milk and honey. This to me speaks of the sweetness of the union when it's recognized by both twins. And this is, what we have to look forward to, going the distance and looking forward to this kind of, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And I think we really need to hear this right now. I know that I do. And so I hope this helps somebody else out there too. I wish I could do another 20 minutes, guys, but like I said, I do have company coming and I've got to go figure out what's going on with this kitten. Go to the sea. So go with the flow, feminines. I know that's really challenging right now, especially with the heightened anxiety and the depression and the insomnia and all of the pain and aches that we go through. But please remember that this is a journey of a lifetime. This is the love of a lifetime and many lifetimes, and that it's important that we're gentle on ourselves. So maybe I'll do another reading in a little bit here, but I'm going to go check on that little baby. And I send you guys so much love. I do hope this has helped confirm and at least clarify. So take care, guys. I'll see you soon.